Hey everybody, I'm RRPG, and welcome to the very first video of RRPG Reviews. A parallel universe where toads are trying to take over the galaxy, and where anthropomorphic animals are trying to win back its freedom? If you think about it, it's kind of like the humans in Star Wars trying to defeat the Empire and where the Jedi Knights will rule. Well, maybe not rule, but retain its peace with the Force, and where the dark side is trying to take over the galaxy for its own. Yeah, it's very similar, but here's my review on the hit NES game, one of the most overlooked and underrated of the hit cartoon classic of the early 90s, Konami's Bucky O'Hare.
That's right, folks. This underrated and overlooked title on the NES was actually spectacular for 1992, and it was around that year when the Turtles in Time game was released on the Super Nintendo. Konami was considered a king for the Nintendo consoles with their great adaptations of the Ninja Turtles, Tiny Toon Adventures, Batman, and so many other games amongst the library to count. How is it that this game got overlooked by the public? Well, let's hop along and find out, shall we? The first thing we're going to look at is the story. The plot of this game is original, and it does not follow the storyline of the TV show's canon, even though there are some characters from the cartoon that are present in the game. Ironically, the plot of this game can be considered the lengthy episode of the series because it deals with Bucky O'Hare and his crew, the SPACE, or the Sentient Protoplasm Against Colonial Encroachment Team, battling against the Toad Empire from enslaving the anamorphic planets in the Aniverse. The story starts out with Bucky O'Hare saving his crew members Deadeye Duck, Blinky the First Class Android, or Android First Class, Jenny the Cat, and Willie DeWitt, the human from planet Earth, in the universe, after the Toad Empire strikes the Righteous Indignation, which is Bucky's ship, and scatters the crew members to 4 different planets in the Aniverse. It is up to Bucky to save them, and they must work together to put an end to the Toad Menace. If any of you ever played Mega Man, then the concept is about the same for Bucky O'Hare. How ironic, because people call this game Konami's Mega Man, because it delivered gameplay elements that were similar to the Mega Man series. Concept-wise, you play through the levels in side-scrolling fashion until you reach the end and fight the level's boss. Along the way, you can find items to boost your health and special powers. Each character's special power can be utilized to attain access to platforms that are unreachable from where you are, or you can use them for stronger attacks on your enemies. Along any level, you can come across toads, robots, asteroids, and other damaging objects that can hurt you or kill you instantly. Utilize attention to detail, and look out for platforms to travel on so that you don't lose any lives. Since the game is on the NES, the controls are easy to get used to. To jump, you hit the A button. To shoot your gun, you hit the B button. And to move around, you hit left or right on the D-pad. There are special usages for shooting, as you can shoot up when you're on the ground by pressing up plus the B button at the same time, and you can shoot down with down and the B button while you're in the air. It gets kinda tough, and it determines whether you have to go down or up a level. Holding up and the B button at the same time will execute the character's special power, and you will need to get used to that if there are enemies that are about to head your way. Hitting start will pause the game, and hitting the select button switches through which characters you want to play as, just like selecting the power-ups through the pause menu in Mega Man. If there was any controller to use when playing this game, I would recommend the NES Max or NES Advantage, with the turbo buttons for the boss fights, to say the least. This is because the bosses take so much damage, and they do not have a health bar indicator to show if they are close to death. Holding down on the Turbo B button against the bosses will make that part of the game much easier to progress on. However, I was surprised that Konami did not abuse the repetitive mashing of the B button when you fight against the regular enemies. All in all, the controls are easy as toad soup. Banana oil! I meant easy as cake! That was Brewster's common pickup line on the show. Get it? I guess not. For detail, I have to say that Bucky O'Hare on the NES looks quite good for an 8-bit game, And that should be pretty obvious since Konami has so much experience with detail in their games, no matter how old they are and what graphics scheme they are in. The level designs are also very nice, and the characters look very vibrant, and the animations are very well oriented. This game was made in 1992, so the experience in the graphics department was top-notch for Konami. Oh, and even the cutscenes look brilliant as well.
Now before I continue on, there is something that I do need to get off my chest. I cannot stand recycled footage from either a cartoon or a movie placed into a video game and utilize it as a cinematic cutscene. It becomes really monotonous. It's the same with Naruto Ultimate Ninja on the PS2, where the intro is all anime footage. But in the later games, their intros are all done with cel-shaded CGI cutscenes. It looks quite good. I mean, take a look at the NES with its 8-bit pixelated graphics. The cutscenes are original and they look quite good. It utilizes the viewer's imagination to see what a game would look like if it was done in 3D or CGI. But if you take a look at cartoon or movie-based video games as of today, I mean, it's like, what the crap is this? It's like they cannot even make a decent product utilizing CGI into a video game. Well, that's my rant about that. It's not as if I play cartoon or movie-based video games nowadays, because most of them just suck anyways. If I like old cartoon or movie-based video games, well, cartoon-based video games anyway, but if I like any of those type of video games nowadays, then I like the old ones on the NES, like Bucky O'Hare, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Tiny Toons, Mickey Mouse, or anything of that matter. They're all good. Well, that's enough of my rant. Let's continue on with Bucky O'Hare, and this time we're going into the music and sound for this game.
While there is no music from the TV show into the game, I have to say that the game's original score sounds quite good for the NES. I noticed that Konami always tries to go overboard with adding new musical scores to make the levels sound like what they should be. It sort of reminds me of both Ninja Turtles 2 and 3 with their musical arrangements and how they mostly stuck to new music. Even though you actually do hear the Ninja Turtles theme song in both games in any way, shape, or form. Of course, Konami has a unique way to make gamers identify their music on the NES. Oh, and another positive thing that I forgot to mention would have to be the sound effects. Jumping and shooting sounds very good, and the explosions are clear and extraordinary. When it comes to a game by Konami, they make damn sure that their sound defines a specific action and that it's clear and understandable. So I give big props for them in the sound department.